The Pine Barrens are infamous for their eerie reputation, a place where the trees stretch high into the sky, and the air is thick with mystery. That evening in 1997, I didn't yet fully grasp how much the forest would come to haunt me. My name is Luke Riker, and what happened to my brother, Caleb, still chills me to this day. What should have been a fun adventure, a weekend out in the woods with my father and a group of wildlife enthusiasts, turned into a nightmare that I still can't escape. We'd been planning the trip for months. My father, a dedicated wildlife biologist, had organized the expedition, and Caleb, always eager to dive into folklore and cryptids, was beyond excited. He spent days obsessively reading everything he could find about the Jersey Devil, the mythical creature said to haunt the Pine Barrens. Caleb, only 13, had already immersed himself in stories of the creature, a strange hybrid of goat, bat, and devilish form, an image that was as terrifying as it was captivating. My father often brushed off Caleb's enthusiasm, calling it typical for a kid his age, but I knew my brother was more than just curious. Something about the idea of the Jersey Devil had lodged itself in his mind like a splinter that wouldn't come out. That evening, as dusk started to settle over the dense trees of Batstow Village, the group of us set up camp. A fire crackled in the center, casting dancing shadows across the clearing. We shared stories of our day, but Caleb seemed distant, his gaze fixed on the darkening horizon. He was never one for idle chatter. As soon as the opportunity arose, he slipped away from the group, quietly vanishing into the trees. I didn't think much of it at first. Caleb was always sneaking off, eager to explore. But as the night deepened and the firelight flickered low, I realized he hadn't returned. My father, the ever-diligent leader, was the first to notice. He called Caleb's name, his voice breaking through the night air, but there was no answer. As time passed, the group's laughter faded, replaced by nervous murmurs. Caleb was always close by, always quick to respond when called. This time, nothing. I could feel the tension in the air as we began to search. The forest, normally so full of life, had become still and unnervingly silent. The only sounds were the occasional crack of a branch or the rustle of the wind through the trees. But Caleb's footsteps were gone, swallowed by the thick underbrush. It didn't take long before my father's worry turned to fear, and that fear spread like a virus through the group. We searched for hours, calling his name until our voices were hoarse, but Caleb was nowhere to be found. The following day, we contacted authorities, and a search party arrived to comb through the woods. Helicopters circled the area, their whirring blades echoing to the trees, but still no sign of Caleb. The air grew heavier with each passing hour. Despite the efforts of the police, the search dogs, and even volunteers from local hunting groups, we found nothing. No trace of Caleb's footprints, no clues, nothing to suggest where he had gone. It was the third day when we found the first clue, his backpack. It was lying in a small clearing near a patch of dense underbrush, the straps tangled in the thick vines. My heart dropped when I saw it. Caleb's pack, his journal, his Polaroid camera, all left behind as if he had been in a rush to escape. But from what? We all feared the worst, but there was a strange sensation in the pit of my stomach, a feeling that something was off, something deeper than just an ordinary missing persons case. That was when we found the photographs. Caleb had been obsessed with his Polaroid camera, snapping shots of the wilderness around him. When we developed the film, there was one photo that froze the blood in our veins. It was Caleb, his face twisted in terror, eyes wide and frozen in sheer panic. But it wasn't just Caleb in the picture. Behind him, barely visible in the dimming light, was a shadowy figure, large, winged, and impossibly distorted. At first glance, it looked like nothing more than a trick of the light, a figment of an overactive imagination. But the more I stared at it, the more I recognized the shape. It wasn't a man. It wasn't a bird. It was something else, something far darker. A sense of dread settled over us, and the whispers began. The Jersey Devil, they murmured. I had heard the stories growing up, but I never believed in them. Not really. The creature, they said, was an ancient demon born from the cursed forest of the Pine Barrens, a twisted being that hunted the lost and the unwary. But this was supposed to be folklore, just stories to scare children. Now, staring at that photo, I wasn't so sure. We continued the search for weeks, Every waking hour spent scouring the woods for any trace of Caleb. The entire town of Batstow, along with countless volunteers, came together in a desperate effort to find him. But no matter how many areas we combed, no matter how many leads we followed, Caleb remained lost. Some said the forest had swallowed him whole. Others whispered about something darker, that the Jersey Devil had taken him, as it had so many others before. Then came the rumors. The locals began to speak of things they had seen in the barrens over the years. Strange lights flickering in the distance, eerie cries echoing through the trees, and shadows that moved in ways no man or animal could. They spoke of a place deeper in the woods, where the veil between the living and the dead was thinner, where the Jersey Devil was said to roam freely, preying on anyone who ventured too close. I didn't believe them. I couldn't. But in the silence of the night, when I lay awake in my bed, I heard the whispers in my mind. Caleb's voice calling out to me from the darkness. It was as if he was still out there, lost in the barrens, forever trapped by whatever force lurked there. The case was eventually closed. Caleb was officially declared missing, presumed dead. But to this day, I can't shake the feeling that something is watching, waiting. Sometimes in the dead of night, I hear a rustling in the trees, a sound too familiar, too close. And I can't help but wonder if Caleb, wherever he is now, is still running, still being pursued by something that can never be outrun. And so the legend of the Jersey Devil grows. Not just a creature from the past, but something that still lingers in the darkness of the Pine Barrens, waiting for its next victim. What happened to Caleb? I may never know for sure, but I've come to realize that sometimes the truth is far worse than any legend could ever be. The Pine Barrens hold secrets, dark, ancient secrets, and I fear that Caleb learned them all too well before he vanished. As for me, I've never returned to the Pine Barrens. I can't. Something inside me knows that if I ever step foot back in those woods, I might not come back either. I may not be the one that disappears, but there's something else there. Something that doesn't let go. It clings to you like a shadow, and once it has you, it never lets you go. The pines are colder than I remember. There's something unnatural about the air, like it's been touched by the void itself, pulling the warmth from your body. I'm standing by the old fire watchtower, the one they say the Jersey Devil haunts. The wind howls through skeletal trees, but it's not the wind that makes me uneasy. It's the silence that follows. No birds, no animals, just quiet. I've been standing here for what feels like hours, but the sun is setting, casting long shadows that seem to stretch further than they should. My breath is visible in the air, a fog of panic rising from my chest. The others should be here by now. Lena, Caleb, Jake, Maria, Tess. We all agreed to come here, to prove that the legends were just that, stories, no more than folk tales to frighten kids on Halloween. But I wasn't so sure. I'm not sure I believe in monsters and creatures of myth, but something about the pines always felt wrong to me, like something was watching from the depths of the woods. But I did want to be the one to say it. I was a skeptic, the one who scoffed at the idea of the Jersey Devil, who made jokes about it just to keep everyone else from getting nervous. But now, standing here alone, I feel my doubts slip away, like the ground beneath me is starting to crack. The shadows aren't just shadows. I know this place. This is where it all started. Lena's excited voice still echoes in my mind, her words full of that same wild energy that always pushed us into things we didn't fully understand. We were supposed to prove the devil wasn't real. But the truth is different. We parked the van near the old fire tower, far from the main trails. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, and the cold wrapped around us like a vice. Lena, with her camera, had insisted on documenting everything. I didn't see the point, but I followed her anyway, not wanting to be the one to ruin the fun. Jake, as usual, was cracking jokes, trying to lighten the mood, while Maria and Tess stayed close to the van, huddled together in their coats. Caleb was silent, as always, but there was something about the way he looked around that made me uneasy. I'd never seen him act like that before. He wasn't just looking at the trees. He was watching the sky, as if waiting for something. The first few hours were fine. We set up camp near the tower, made a fire, and told stories. Normal campfire stuff. But then, as the night deepened, the woods seemed to shift. At first, it was just a feeling, a pressure in the air, a heaviness that made my chest tight. I remember the first time I heard it. A screech. High-pitched, almost like a hawk, but unnatural. Too shrill. Lena dismissed it, but I saw Caleb's face when he heard it. He turned pale, his eyes wide. He didn't say anything, but I saw it. I saw the fear. By midnight, it was just the 5 of us and the crackle of the fire. But the sounds didn't stop. Every now and then, there'd be a rustle in the trees, a snap of a twig, or the distant sound of something moving through the underbrush. But nothing ever appeared. At least, not at first. The temperature dropped, and we huddled closer to the fire, our breaths now visible in the cold night air. That's when it happened. Maria's scream split the night. I shot to my feet, my heart pounding in my chest. Everyone was frozen, staring at her. She was pointing into the trees, her face twisted in terror. Did you see it? Did you see it? Jake and Caleb turned toward the dark, but there was nothing, just the trees, their long branches swaying in the wind. I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck, standing up. It felt like the forest itself was alive, waiting. We tried to calm Maria down, but she was beyond reason. Her eyes were wide, her hands shaking. She kept muttering about a shadow, about something moving between the trees. It's real, she kept whispering. But nothing was there, not that I could see. Lena suggested we check out the old fire tower, thinking it would give us a better vantage point to see whatever Maria thought she saw. Caleb, usually the voice of reason, didn't say a word. I noticed that. He just stood there, looking at the trees like he was waiting for something to happen. We made our way toward the tower, but I felt something in the air, a pressure, like the world was holding its breath. I tried to shake it off, but every step felt heavier, like the ground itself was pulling us deeper into the woods. Then the first scream came, not from Maria, not from any of us. A low, guttural sound that seemed to come from all around us. It was close, too close. We ran, panic setting in. I could feel my heart pounding in my throat, and I heard the others scrambling behind me, their feet crunching in the snow. We didn't know what was out there. We didn't know if we were being hunted, or if we were just losing our minds. But whatever it wasn't human. The sound echoed in the trees, sending a chill down my spine. It sounded like something was coming for us. We didn't stop running until we reached the fire tower. The door was locked, but we managed to get it open, each of us pushing our way inside. The tower was cold, the air stale, but it was shelter. We huddled together, each of us trying to catch our breath, too afraid to speak. The wind outside howled, rattling the windows, but there was something else, something moving in the darkness. We stayed there until morning. The night passed slowly, the terror clinging to every breath. When the first light of dawn crept through the cracks in the tower, we dared to look outside. The woods were silent, but the silence didn't comfort me. It made it worse. We found Tess first. Her body was frozen, her eyes wide in horror. She was inside the tower, surrounded by untouched firewood, her hands frozen in a claw-like grip. I felt my stomach churn when I saw her, her once vibrant face now pale and lifeless. It didn't make sense. We had all been together just hours before. How could this happen? What could do this? Then we found Maria. She was near the creek, her body half submerged in the frozen water. Her hand was clutched around a broken compass, the needle spinning wildly, as if it couldn't find its way. Her face was frozen in a look of terror, her eyes wide, her mouth open in a silent scream. She had seen something. She had been close to whatever was out there. Jake and Lena were next. They were found near the edge of the woods, their bodies frozen in place. Their faces were twisted in terror, their eyes wide, but their bodies were unnaturally still, as if they had been paralyzed by something that had marked them. Caleb was the last one to be found. His jacket was hanging from a tree, torn and shredded, but there was no sign of him. Nothing, just the remains of his jacket and the sound of the wind in the trees. I don't know what happened to him. Some say the Jersey Devil took him. Others say he became its servant. But I know one thing for sure. Whatever it was It was waiting for us. It chose us. And now I'm the last one left, alone in these cursed pines. I can still hear it. It's out there, watching, waiting. And I know that one day it will come for me, too. But not today. Not yet.